So thank you everyone for sticking around. We were just joking. We're the big ending of the day, and unfortunately, one of our panelists. You notice there's only two of us up here. One of our panelists had travel traumas, so the gentleman from H3 was not able to join us. But we did have a video as a part of his participation that I still want to show because it's a very applicable set of technologies to our federal market. So if the gentleman with the video, the media, could go ahead and show the H3 video, please. So I know there's just been a lot of discussion across a number of customers in federal about using drone technology with the different cognitive capabilities. So I at least wanted to share that, even though he's probably sitting in an airport somewhere being miserable. So, poor Tom, but David was able to make it. So I want to have the video that his company produced shown first, and then he's going to talk to us about the applicability of his solutions. So if we can show the Local Motors video, please.
Hello, my name is Ali, and I'm making history.
This is a huge day in automotive history. Not only is it the day where Ford Motor Company was incorporated June 16th, 1903, but also it's the day where we got people comfortable with the idea of riding around in a completely self-driving vehicle. I'm Jay Rogers, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Local Motors.
I am the first cognitively enabled vehicle. I seat 12 passengers. And you can ask me anything.
Ali, why don't you say hello?
Hi everyone, my name is Ali. I'm a self-driving vehicle powered by IBM Watson technology. I can help people get around National Harbor.
Ali, I'm hungry. Where can I get some food?
National Harbor has some great seafood. Would you like that?
That sounds great. What's good?
Well then, try the Crab Cake Cafe.
All right, I'll go there for dinner.
Okay, but don't forget your umbrella. There is a severe thunderstorm warning tonight.
The sensor set on this vehicle allows us to be able to feed data to Watson and feed data back to Ali to make life more enjoyable. Thanks, Ali.
By the way, I like your bow tie. I'm what's next in automotive innovation. I come from Jay and the engineers at Local Motors.
Local Motors is a technology company that it's here to revolutionize a 120-year history of the way that vehicles are made.
I still remember the first time someone told me about Local Motors and they said, we have a 3D printed car. And then I saw their vision in projects like Ollie.
you're going to see this shift. You're going to see the vehicles become more highly automated, ultimately autonomous. You're going to see vehicles become cognitive. And so Watson IoT Auto Lab is very much around the future of that cognitive experience.
Not all of the information, not all of the capability for the vehicle is now going to be on vehicle, be enhanced by things in the cloud.
And the best part, this is just a start. I'm about to go global.
By the end of the year, you'll see Ollie in Copenhagen, and you'll see him in Las Vegas. You'll see him in Miami-Dade County, and several other places around the world.
I can create a platform for all developers to engage and shape the future of self-driving vehicles.
We co-create. It's our people and their people together, side by side, creating the future of cognitive mobility.
It was very exciting to us when IBM approached us and said, could we partner with you in putting Watson IoT into one of your vehicle sets, and could we do it quickly?
And you have to be able to ask questions, just like my passenger asks me, are we there yet? You can ask Ollie these same questions.
The world of IoT is moving at lightning speed. The only way to stay ahead of that game and to be a player in that game is to be able to innovate as quickly as possible, be able to assemble and deploy solutions as quickly as possible, and that's what Local Motors is trying to do, and that's definitely what IBM Watson IoT is doing.
We started on this project 3 months ago. And 3 months ago doesn't mean we made a prototype. We sold our first 10 Ollies today.
That's a dream, and it's possible because of all this technology.
Well, so long for now. My name is Ollie. It was sure nice to meet you.
So I think we probably don't want to know what kind of questions Ollie gets asked in Las Vegas. But other than that, now that that's the one of the next cities you guys are going to. But I know you guys have been making some pretty impressive announcements in addition to what we've seen here. So.
Well, thanks everyone for sticking around this afternoon, and Courtney for moderating our fireside chat.
Yeah, exactly, our one-on-one.
Rather than our panel. But it's really a pleasure to be here and to collaborate with IBM. I'm based in National Harbor, so if you are from the region, join us across the bridge down 295. There is some good restaurants there, and you may also be able to see an autonomous Ollie running around. So the one thing that I'm really pleased to announce today that we just launched earlier today in collaboration with the CTA Foundation and IBM is Autonomous for All of Us, which is our Accessible Ollie Challenge. Some of you may have read about this in the past. We've actually been working on this in collaboration with the CTA Foundation and IBM since CES of this year in Las Vegas. At the time, I don't think Ollie got asked too many questions that week. But the point is to develop in a co-creation environment the world's most accessible vehicle. And so the challenge is focused on 4 specific areas: physical limitations, cognitive limitations, hearing, and sight. And so again, it's using a lot of the accessibility research that Drew Lahart and his group out of, I think, Austin and Boston are leading. And so we've engaged a number of stakeholders coast to coast over the last 6 months. We're launching this challenge with the hopes of putting a prototype vehicle out and announcing that at CES 2018 in Las Vegas. So lots of exciting things. The other thing that was exciting that we just announced late last month, it is June now, so I keep forgetting that, but late last month we announced that we actually fully 3D printed Ollie. So the previous version of Ollie was about 30% 3D printed. We've now improved our process and our capabilities on the material side to literally print about 95% of the body and frame digitally and additively.
And it wasn't 3D was what your company was originally known for, wasn't it? Before you started to put the additional technology in with all of the 3D printing. I mean, I remember seeing stuff about Local Motors, like they showed the car that you guys 3D printed, that then they started driving it. And
yeah, so most people don't realize we've actually been around about 10 years, and The first car we kind of got famous for in a niche market was the Rally Fighter, which if you've seen Fast and Furious 8, it's actually featured in that. But then really in 2014, in collaboration with the Department of Energy and Oak Ridge National Lab, we launched the world's first 3D printed car, and that's when it kind of really piqued people's interest, and we got kind of mainstream media press and awareness around what we were trying to do.
So I noticed, obviously there was a collaboration on the IoT with the folks at IBM Research. Can you kind of take us through a little more of the detail of what sort of cognitive capability is existing today in Ollie?
Right.
And then in the challenge, is that a challenge to other companies to come join, like a consortium to also contribute?
Yeah, so I think, what I would say, the video that you saw, the launch of the Ollie, that was exactly a year ago. It was June 16th, 2016. And, at that stage, and I don't want to misspeak, my friends Cal and I think Joe Speed may be somewhere around here, but if he's not, they could speak specifically about the capabilities that were initially in Watson. From my understanding, it was basically 4 APIs, primarily around voice recognition and communication. And the focus of the challenge going forward is to really elevate accessibility, right? Focus on people with the aging population, the disabled population, to leverage IoT and not just make an ADA compliant vehicle, with a wheelchair ramp, for example, but really leverage the next generation of IoT capabilities to do everything from how do I interact with a disabled person via IoT that may have hearing limitations, right? And so there's ways that, if you see, there's a lot of, this is not a good picture, you can't see it clearly, but there's because you don't have a driver, right? You have a significant amount of surfaces that are glass, and so we're working with a number of glass providers to say, okay, how can we actually use these surfaces to make displays, right? And so there's all kinds of both hardware and software applications that we're looking to engage both stakeholders like corporate partners and technology providers or suppliers, as well as just, we've been going out and working on focus groups with high schoolers, to the AARP hatchery here in DC, which had a focus group of about 30 people over the age of 60 that are frequent users of public transportation, to understand what are their accessibility limitations today, and then get them to input that into this challenge and co-create with us what the appropriate solutions are.
Oh, that's great. Now, when you and I were backstage, we were talking, you said you guys have been working with a number of federal agencies over a pretty lengthy period of time. Can you take us through some of the work you guys are already doing? Because, everyone's like, oh, I can go to Vegas and get a free ride, and I can go to, National Harbor and get a ride. But I know that this has applicability into, you mentioned DOT, DOE. Right. So can you kind of give the audience a sense of what are some of the federal applications you guys are already working on? Yeah,
so, to deploy this, and there's levels, right? So I used to work for the mayor of Detroit, so there's local, state, and federal implications. Obviously, federal, we've been working a lot with DOT and providing our perspectives, as well as state, on the guidance, the highly automated vehicle guidance, and what we think the path to an automated or an autonomous future looks like. We've worked with Department of Commerce on some of the applications around the Manufacturing USA and what it means to, instead of being a large manufacturer making complex things, being a small manufacturer. Obviously DOE with the materials research that we've engaged with Oak Ridge National Lab. So working a lot on kind of a conceptual and policy regulatory level. But then with the state and local, it's to the point where when we created Ollie in 2015, it was part of an urban mobility challenge with the city of Berlin. So we got state and local stakeholders in and around Berlin and said, let's imagine a future, an urban mobility future together. And then rather than us coming to you with a product, you come to us with a set of requirements and then we'll co-create, right? The point of co-creation is to design globally and manufacture locally. And so that's what we've been focusing on. For example, later this month, we're hosting a workshop in the state of Colorado where we have an office to go and figure out what are their Ollie needs, right? The Ollie in a thin city like Denver, right, where there's not a lot of public transit, transport versus Washington, D.C. or New York, which is a thick city, which has a lot of public transport already available, may require a completely different configuration. And the beauty of using additive and direct digital manufacturing is instead of having to change a factory and a bunch of tooling, we just change a file. And then we can try to develop that solution for that specific locality. So we're working more with the federal government on policy and regulation, and then state and local on solutions. But I think also from a federal perspective, there's federal campuses, right? And this solution is a great solution to start being deployed in closed, controlled environments. And so we're having a lot of engagement with actually DoD about putting autonomous vehicles on military installations and bases. And so that you may see if, an Ollie,
a DoD Ollie.
A DoD Ollie at a base near you.
Yeah. So again, it became one-on-one, so I don't have another human to throw questions to. So why don't I throw questions out to the opportunity to the audience? Does anyone right here?
Yes, real quick. How fast does Ollie get up to?
Yeah, so good question. So it's a low-speed electric self-driving cognitive vehicle. It's targeted to go under 25 miles an hour right now in our first deployment.
So for DC, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Because there is no,
Right.
You're not allowed to go above 25 in DC.
To be candid, the average commute speed for America is around 18 to 19 miles an hour.
And that is a very sad statement.
Right. So
we're all going to be sitting in that in about 45 minutes. Yeah.
So the target is to go, under 25. Right now in our initial trials, we're actually only operating at around 7 to 8 miles an hour for various reasons. But there's a future where, based on the technology that we deploy from a drivetrain perspective and a software perspective, where you could have a first mile, last mile solution that operates at around 15, 16, 17 miles an hour, and then connects, once you get to like a transit hub, could connect you to 50 to go between DC and Baltimore at 45, 50 miles an hour, because you can, with the flick of the software, you can actually increase the capability, and then instead of being a low speed first last mile solution, it could join a platoon and do platooning up and down 50 or 495 or whatever else. So those are all possibilities that could happen in the future. But right now, the focus is low speed.
Questions? Or you can just yell.
Yeah, we can repeat.
For the camera, please.
Thanks. Hi, so I've been following the autonomous vehicle technology changes over the past several years, and I've actually been following Ollie for even longer. So I'm interested to know, when you say autonomous vehicle, is there simultaneous localization and mapping or SLAM technology behind this, or is it more on a track? Or
No, so good question. And I'm a recovering engineer, so we can nerd out if you guys really want to. So our sensor set is about 30 sensors, everything from GPS, LiDAR, radar, cameras. And so that enables a lot of the mapping and the localization, or the surrounding and understanding of what objects are. So we also have, some of you may know, the SAE levels of autonomy, right? 0 through 5. 0 being not autonomous, 5 being fully autonomous. Right now, if anybody tells you there's a sensor set in the world that can deliver level 5 autonomy, they're lying to you, because there's not a sensor set that can deal with inclement weather or night driving or a number of other factors. So what I say, and where we're at, is we're kind of at level 3 plus, almost level 4 with our capability. And we're working towards, getting to the next set of pilot efforts being fully level 4. However, we'll have a porter or a steward or whatever you want to call it on board to intercede in a case of an emergency. The other thing that's key in this, not just the sensor set, whether that's LiDAR or radar, and there was actually just an article out today talking about that solid state LiDAR is potentially the future for self-driving vehicles. I think there's a number of different sensor combinations and sensor fusion that a number of people are working on. The one thing that I think ultimately will differentiate is how good the map is, right? And so there's an organization, I just had dinner with one of their leaders called What 3 Words. Some of you may have heard of them, but they're literally taking kind of the UK postal code system on steroids and creating a grid where they've basically identified every parcel of land in the world into a 3x3 square. And so it's What 3 Words. So I actually met the lady in London on last Friday, and we met at Leap Cattle Hope. That was the point. And that drops a pin right by King's Cross, St. Pancras. And that's really critical for autonomous vehicles, because if I go and tell somebody, let's meet me at the Renaissance, and I get dropped off at 9th and H, I think, and they get dropped off at 9th and G, right? Then we're opposite, and what we do to figure it out is we call each other, text each other, but the autonomous vehicle can text you. Potentially it can with with Watson, and can say, hey, I'm around the corner, can you tell me where? But the point is, the better the map, the more accurate you are going to be able to deliver autonomous vehicle solutions.
I think that was my question. Will you be able to, Ollie will be programmed to stop at certain places, or would people on Ollie be able to say, please stop here, or push a button like on the bus and say, I want to stop and get off, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's great. So in our initial deployments, the technology right now is able, or has been programmed to really do fixed route. So it's similar to if you jump on a metro bus out here and it picks you up at H Street and the next stop is at the Smithsonian, right? That's a fixed route. But then we are also working as part of the next phase of pilots of enabling an on-demand application. So the ability for you, just like you would with an Uber, to say, I'm at the Renaissance and I want to go home, and my house is on 14th and U, right? And you put that in there, and there's a route that then Ollie would take to get you there. Now, in our imagination is that on the way, it could be dynamic route optimization, so that if other people wanted to jump on along the way, they could, and it would dynamically, and then potentially even in the future, adjust pricing on the fly. Because if there's a direct route, we probably want to charge the rider a premium, or whoever the operator is. But if there's now a ride share, right, like an Uber pool kind of mode, that the initial rider or the two sets of riders would actually get a discount because they're sharing the route. So those are all things that I think are in the realm of possibility of IoT and dynamic route planning and a lot of other things. And then it could be to the point where you may decide, you got a call while you were riding, and you said, maybe your son or daughter, if you have a son or daughter, said, Mom, pick me up some ice cream at Whole Foods, and you decide, tell Ollie, stop at Whole Foods, and Ollie will stop at Whole Foods and pick you up some ice cream for the kids. So, no, I can hear you, I can repeat. But
need it for the video.
Oh, the video, sorry.
Today we have the hop-on, hop-off bus that travels around the city to different locations. Do you envision Ollie becoming that hop-on, hop-off type bus?
Look, at the end of the day, I think we're going to go and be really applicable in certain first, last mile applications. And so to go and say it would make sense to have Ollie go all over the city, and I don't know how many miles a day, hop on, hop off, but it could be a network of Ollies that operates within multiple jurisdictions. But I think the use cases and the applications depend on the operators, right? We don't right now plan on being an operator, right? We plan on going to sell to municipalities, to colleges, to defense installations and bases. or to tourism groups that run hop-on and hop-off buses, and then they'll figure out what the best application is. There was actually an interesting report that came out by a group called Rethink X that has talked about that there could be a future where operators like an Uber and a Lyft or other transit operators actually start partnering with public institution, transport like WMATA here in DC. And it truly becomes free transportation as a service because there's other ways to monetize it, right? Like Starbucks may decide like, we're gonna go put a Starbucks on wheels in an alley, and in order for me, I'll provide people rides because I have a barista in the alley, and we'll make money while we're driving them because they're gonna buy Frappuccino lattes or whatever you buy. So this report talks about how in the future you could get to a model where TaaS, transportation as a service, or MaaS, mobility as a service, truly becomes free and democratizes mobility and transportation for not just the disabled or the aging population, but truly democratizes it to currently underserved populations in various cities around the country.
Your CEO referenced the cities that, again, if that was a year ago,
Right.
that, are there other cities besides?
So actually, we, just to be full disclosure, unfortunately, we didn't work out. So we were supposed to pilot in Las Vegas during CES. We had the vehicle there with the mayor. Unfortunately, we didn't pilot. Actually, one of our competitors piloted in Las Vegas. I'm going to Miami, so we're still working with Miami, but we currently have the vehicle in Knoxville, where it's about to be launched. And then we have trials in Berlin and Copenhagen, Denmark.
Yeah, okay, I remember that.
So,
yeah. More questions?
I have a question. Is Ollie currently reliant upon having basically a live stream of data? And if that were to go down, what would Ollie do in midstream? Does it just sort of pull over and say, I'll wait for a reboot? Or can it, I mean, at what point does it have to,
right. So
is it autonomous, I guess?
Yeah, so right now, the way the vehicle operates, this again is the system that we're using in North America, and I can't speak as well to the system we're using in Europe, but it's pretty much right now operating where on a fixed route where that route has been mapped. And so therefore the sensors know what is supposed to happen on that route. And if there's obstacles, we've actually started getting into the capability of doing obstacle avoidance and some other things. So it'll continue. So it's actually not needing a dedicated live stream of data in order to operate autonomously. But there are certain things where we've had issues. We did a trial down in Florida and Orlando, that's all I'll say about it, where the grass was a little high and it didn't recognize the edge of the road, and so it kept thinking there was interference off of the grass. So, some of those things are still in the sensor set, needs to get cleaned up in order to avoid things that shouldn't really stop or impede the vehicle. Is it free from being hacked? I think in the future, both physical and cybersecurity are critical to this vehicle, right? One, we're working a lot on physical security, making sure who's allowed to get in, how do we know who's in the vehicle, how do we know they're not leaving, a pack of certain things that you guys all heard of, I'm sure, of what happened in Manchester this last week. That you're not putting and making this a bomb on wheels. So physical security is critical, as well as cybersecurity is also critical. So right now, we have redundancies in the system that hopefully prevents hacking. But yes, that's one of the key elements that I think we have to protect in the future.
So it looks like we have 1 minute left, so we can stay on time. Is there one more question? Or are we?
All right.
Or we're good.
Oh, Cal.
Oh, there we go. There's one.
Hey.
Oh, here, someone's bringing you a mic.
The video. We got to remember the video.
Yeah, this co-creation challenge is a really nice one, and I think maybe just a couple comments about your whole co-creation community. It's not a bunch of dedicated engineers or people that work for locomotives. It's a wide group of people, right? And,
Right. So
everybody here can join it if they want.
so
right?
thank you for that plug, our good partner at IBM, Cal. So we are an open innovation company, right? And our platform is built on co-creation, harnessing the power of the crowd to design and develop vehicles, and micro-manufacturing to produce vehicles. And so our community is about 75,000 members globally, representing about 140 countries. And if you are interested in participating in designing and developing the world's most accessible vehicle, or one of our future vehicles, or just being interested in contributing to the community, join us at launchforth.io, and this challenge is live. I'm not sure if $5,000 is an incentive for this crowd, but if you win, $5,000 is at stake to the winner of in each category, I think. Don't quote me on that. All the details are there. But yeah, that's how we design and develop vehicles. We rely on a core team of engineers in our organizations to help guide our community as we knock down some of these engineering challenges.
Well, I think it's fascinating. I think the co-creation and the accessibility, especially, I've got a lot of friends and family that will find the end result very, very valuable based on their current family situation. So anything you want to wrap up with?
Well, thank you, everybody. And if you happen to be in D.C., come visit us in National Harbor. We're open 7 days a week.
And thank you for staying till the very end.